Welcome back to Real TV, and I'm Stephen King, the real Stephen King. And the curtain has been pulled back. You know, we have came to a place where the wizard is no longer all powerful. That they're being exposed on so many different levels, and the revelation that many have received from God is that the men that once ruled and controlled this earth are not all powerful, that they no longer have to die within the wilderness of their own lands and not receive the justice that's due, that they are owed their humanity because they exist here on this earth, that they deserve to be in positions of power in their own lands and not peasants. This time has finally arrived. So you should be in a place of peace and understanding that you no longer have to wither in the face of illusionary powers, that you can speak up, that you can fight, and you can be successful in this journey of receiving all the blessings that God has for you, that you no longer have to subjugate yourself, that you no longer have to teach your sons to bow down to power, that you can now allow your kids to serve God and not be in fear of serving God in order to avoid persecution. This time exists now. You know, Martin Luther King once said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And if you haven't been paying attention to current world events, then you have no understanding on what's about to happen. It's already happening. But to the extent of your existence, your whole way of life that has been funded by, in part, by the destruction of other nations, by imprisoning nations, by robbing nations, raping nations, turning their children and young men into slaves and chattel for the benefit of themselves. They have empowered themselves off the blood of other people, and God is just. And everything that has been done up under the sun and to this point has reached a boiling point. And that's why all these wars are breaking out throughout the earth. That's why nations are firing missiles into other nations, because the men within these nations have gotten to a place of having the highest faith in God possible, where they no longer talk about the existence of God, but now they're going out and fighting in the cause of God to liberate themselves from their old colonial masters. And the rule or rulers that once profited off the blood of these people, they're saying no more. No more to injustice. No more to slavery. No more will I allow you to invade the minds of the people with your lies, with your propaganda, with your games, with your tricks. No longer will I bow to your threats, but I am willing now to give my life in the cause of God, because I have a wish, a strong desire to be liberated. I have a desire to be free. I will no longer hide in the shadows, but I will speak. And not just speak, but I will actually go out unafraid of losing this existence in order to liberate my babies, my children, the people that will live on after me. I will no longer be in fear of losing the little that I have, because I understand now it's so much more to life, it's so much to have and to gain in my existence rather than living under tyranny. So the people are speaking, and they're not just speaking, they're showing the world through their physical actions that they are no longer unafraid. That you can no longer come knocking on my door and take my children out into the fields and kill them and I stay silent. No longer will I accept that. That's what the world is speaking out to the powers that be. So if you have been asleep, if you have been afraid to speak, if you have been afraid to see, you need to open your eyes. You need to understand that there's destruction that's coming. There's a greater pain that people would have never imagined or thought they would experience within their life, because they felt safe under the habitation of devils. They felt safe in the shadows of an evil demonic system that they felt in some ways they benefited from, and they laughed at the world. They saw the people within the mountains, they saw the people within the deserts, and they saw the people in these distant lands going through the destruction and pain and hurt and the disaster that they was experiencing. And some believed the lies. They believed that at some point or somehow these people were cursed by God and not by man. That at some point that these people deserved to go through the things that they were going through because they wasn't American. They wasn't British. Some people believe that. But now all these things have come to a head and the world is on fire. Rome is on fire. And the threats that used to keep people shaking in their boots, used to keep people in places, no longer there. The people have spoken and they're saying no more. No more will I die in the wilderness, because God has promised me a promised land. The land that I stand on, that I exist in, that I deserve to share in the riches and the wealth of the place I exist in. I can no longer allow you to take from me. So the people continue to speak. And I'm not just talking about a physical sound, but they're out in the streets and they're fighting for their existence. They're fighting for their freedom, because they have told themselves that God exists, and God exists within me, and he has given me the strength and the ability and the intelligence to defeat my enemies. So now the colonial powers are confused. They're upset, and they're trying to figure out any way possible how they can maintain their power, but your rule is over. No longer can you go throughout the earth as a robber, a murderer, and a killer and walk free. No longer can you continue to spin lies and try to control people through religions and dogmas and trickery. No longer will you benefit from this earth and the people that you enslaved. No longer will you feed off the people's pain while you laugh and joke and drink wine and the finest of meats and eat the freshest of fruits and drink the purest of waters while people starve and die. No longer. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the people are saying no more. I hope you awaken to this truth if you have had your head in the sand. Because the things that God demands When the people decide to say, I believe, the devil can no longer stand. But this is my message. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to Real TV. I'm Stephen King, the real Stephen King. And it's time for something that used to exist. It can no longer exist. Not in God's land.